Hello, all. Welcome to Hockey on Tap podcast. This is episode 98, Landslide Cup Finals. I am your host, Bill Dean. I'm, of course, here with my three co-hosts. We got Shorts Guy, who's not in the picture. He'll be back in a little bit. We got Little Steve, and we got Schwim. He is off mic right now, so we can see his reactions in live time as they get scored on multiple times in a row, much like Game 2. We're brought to you by Primetime Radio, courtesy of Sam Wu, who's on the other side of the glass. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Apple and Google Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Please leave us a 5-star review if you'd be so kind. I'm going to ask Schwim, what do you want? Schwim, what are you drinking?
Is he paying attention? Are you drinking orange juice?
No, I'll tell you in a second. No one knows. All right, what are you drinking, Steve Gay?
He's not looking. This is my second week in a row toppling Goliath. Flying seahorses.
Ooh.
This is weird.
Go ahead.
Hand-selected Citra. So I guess they personally select. That doesn't make any sense at all. Featuring PNW grown Citra, which I don't know what that means, paired with personally selected Nelson Sauvin and Pacific Sunrise hops from Hop Revolution.
Is it?
It's double IPA.
Nelson Sav. How did you pronounce that? Nelson Savin?
So
is that what it is?
Sauvin? I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know what else it would be.
So
Pretty.
I had to gently shake this. Oh, by the way, topping Goliath. So I got 2 beers this past weekend, which is in Upper Warwick, right off of Greenwood Lake in New York. It's a fantastic place. I highly recommend it. Go there, enjoy food. Service can be a little slow at times, but that's because they have a small kitchen, but they are awesome. The food's fantastic. The beer selection is very good. So I had a bunch of different beers, tasters, and then I got 2 cans to go. One was the strawberry shortcake.
Fandango.
Fandango, which is
I think I drank that on the podcast.
Goliath. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure I drank that.
So I had it. It was awesome. And then I also got a s'mores toppling Goliath, which is very rare. I paid $25 for it, so I wasn't, hopefully it's good. That's not gonna be very unhappy. So I had those, very good. And toppling Goliath is slowly becoming one of my favorite breweries. It's
yeah, right. I'm not lying over here. This place is fantastic.
Yeah. And I want to make a pilgrimage out to their place because they have tons of good beers.
Yeah, I mean,
I think
in
Pompeii
Iowa, so.
Pompeii might be one of my favorite beers that they make. But so me, on the other hand, I am going beers from around the world because my sister-in-law just came back from the Bahamas, and because she's awesome, she got me a whole bunch of different beers. Yep. So this one is called Calic Radler Mango. So it's basically mango juice in beer form. It's 2%, so not very alcoholic. But it says it is the beer of the Bahamas, double refreshment, our world-class beer. And so I'm going to enjoy this. It was tasty when I tried it. And then for the second one, because
I believe
it's a small one,
Radlers are like Radlers are like Shandies, no? Hey, Shorts Guy.
Yeah.
Hey, I believe you are correct. They are like Shandies.
So this Radler is a unique blend of Calic beer and all-natural mango juice. And it is it's refreshing.
Looks like
mango
juice.
Is good.
It's delicious. It is juice. And the second one I am drinking is from, what country is this from? I should have looked at this before, but I just grabbed 2 beers.
This is wonderful.
Is it from Rand McNally?
This is from El Salvador? Sintra. Oh, Sintra. This is...
Did you say El Salvador?
El Salvador?
No, it says El Salvador. S-A-L-A-D-A-R. El Salvador.
S-A-R.
It doesn't say... It says Sintra. I think it's from Sintra in Spain. So it's a Cerveza Prestige Argus Sabor Nacional. So I'm a great Spanish
What does Cerveza
speaker.
mean?
Beer. Cerveza Extra. So extra beer.
Hey, Billy Dean.
Yeah, so Argus.
Billy Dean.
So thank you, Alicia. Yep.
Hey, Billy Dean. I'm going to tell you this, and I say this because it's the same with me. You sound like a white guy trying to speak Spanish.
Yep, I am a white guy trying to speak Spanish.
That's exactly what he is.
Yep. That's exactly how I sound.
I can speak French a little better. Bonjour, madame.
No,
Comment allez-vous? Je vais très bien, merci. Et vous?
those are just that wasn't even a sentence.
I know, it was multiple little things that my French
That's
teacher
just
taught me in
words.
like 6th grade. Yeah.
Very nice.
It's-
We used to say, Bonjour, madame. Comment allez-vous? And then she'd say, Comment va, classe? And
Why
we
is it
say, Je
frozen?
vais très bien, merci. Et vous? Yeah, Shorts guy is frozen, but he's talking.
Yeah,
Um,
I
all right,
froze,
so,
and
oh,
I
yeah,
think I'm
Shorts,
back.
what are you drinking?
Because it's really the first day summer vacation. I cracked open Wildwood Haze just because Wildwood is all about summer for me, and I've got a Cape May IPA to have as well because I anticipate 2 beers during this show.
I like it. Going to the 2 beer route, that's always good. Like we
Hmm.
said before, Schwim is on the other side of the glass. We're going to watch his live reactions as Tampa possibly goes down 3 games to none. But let's get to what's on tap for today's episode. Here's our weekly snapshot. Uh, yeah, so the Avalanche and Colorado Avalanche and Tampa Bay Lightning
Colorado
are
Lightning.
in. Yeah, the Colorado Lightning. They're in
Colorado
a
Lightning.
fantastic matchup for Schwim. Game 1, a 4-3 overtime victory with Andre Burakovsky with the OT winner. Game 2, not even close. 7-0 historic rout. But we can get into. I'll get into the game sheet real fast, and then we'll get you guys' reaction. So game 1, Colorado dominates that first period of game 1. Showed no rust. Go up 3-1. Obviously, we netted Burakovsky with the OT winner. Vasi with 3 goals allowed on the first 15 shots. He had 34, 38 shots total. Point did look good in his return. Kemper had 20 saves. Kemper, I didn't think looked very good, but we can get into the analysis in a second of this game. The Avs penalty kill was great, though. They were 3 for 3 in the game. They shut down the Tampa Bay power play. The Avs with the 5-on-3 power play goal, where you could clearly see that Sorelli was not happy with the call. Rantanen, Telekinen with the tip in. Landeskog and Nishushkin both with a goal and an assist each. Logan Paul. Nick Paul with a nice goal. Kucherov, that inside out against Cale Makar, nonetheless, to Palat for that tip in. That was the Makar and Taves defensive pairing, which is probably the best pairing in the league. I don't think Devon Taves gets enough credit for how good of a player he is, and especially next to Cale Makar. But that goal by Kucherov to Palat was beautiful. And then Sergachev has another wrister. Elliot Friedman calls it a snifter. It's like in between a snapshot and a wrist shot. It's it's a little obvious sometimes, so it's tough on the goalies. But that first game, Colorado showed that there was no rest for 9 days. They came out flying at 3-1 lead, and then sat back a little in the second and third. Let the Lightning tie it, and then they win in the Burakovsky overtime. What did you guys think of that about that game? Were you going into game 2? What were your thoughts?
Tampa they had a good rush to come back. So I thought once they got past that first period, Tampa kind of evened it out a little bit, regardless. Excuse me, of getting
Yep.
outshot so badly. To the point. Well, obviously, I didn't expect game 2 to happen the way that it did. I don't think anybody did, or expected one of those games to even be in the series at all. But yeah, game 1 was a lot of fun. I know you haven't gotten into game 2 yet, but game 2 was. If I were to, 7-0 game. Well, maybe not for Avalanche fans, but probably one of the most boring games of this entire playoffs. And one team scored a touchdown. There's just a whole lot of
Yeah.
nothing, right?
Yeah. It,
Just not even
it was
close. So
reminiscent.
that's why it's just so boring,
Yeah, it was reminiscent of like Jaguars Bengals, or some like terrible game where you're like, oh, someone scores
Yeah.
once. Yeah, it was right. It was all over the map. We'll go to the first game, then I'll give the stats for the second game. We'll talk about 2, but that first game, I thought the Lightning showed up in the second half. Like they almost just kind of flubbed off the first period. The second period, they got a little better. In the third period, they looked like the better team. It's just Colorado, and we'll get into this into the second game, but Colorado is so goddamn fast, and you can see it against the Lightning. And Shorts guy, you had anything on game one before we go to game two? Because then I'll kind of extend my point a little bit.
Game one, I was surprised that Colorado out of the gate were up like they were. Steven, you got a little ninja behind you over your right shoulder.
Yep, that happens.
So I was a little bit surprised at Colorado jumping out to the lead like that, and then very much like Steven said, Tampa came back, kind of evened it up, and going to overtime. I was actually preparing for a longer overtime than what occurred. So overall, with I don't know. I was a little surprised with how Colorado came out and how Tampa allowed them to get to that point. But then, Tampa looked, like they were getting back into it for the rest of the game. And, overtime is a crapshoot for anyone in the playoffs.
Especially starting shorthanded.
Yeah.
They started
especially
overtime shorthanded. I'm sure that's probably messed up a whole lot of,
I'm
planning
sure.
and strategy.
And there's got to be some taken a little bit taken into account for playing at that altitude as well. Being up there in different conditions, so Tampa had to get used to that, whereas Colorado's already used to that. So that was potentially part of it. But game one, it ended Colorado on top. To me, that really wasn't a big deal. It wasn't until game two that things looked really things changed. So Dean, I'll let you go pick it up from there.
Yeah.
All right. So game two, Colorado with a historic 7-0 rout. It's the second largest shutout win all time in the Cup final history. Steven, do you know what the first?
I sure do.
Most
An
lopsided
8-0 drubbing
overtime
by the Pittsburgh Penguins over the Minnesota North Stars.
The Minnesota North Stars. Yep. Vasi with 23 saves on 30 shots and 3 goals allowed in the first. He's allowed 6 goals total in the first period of the first 2 games, which trails only George Hainsworth, who had 7 allowed in the first period of the first 2 games of a series. Cale Makar with 2 goals, 1 shorthanded, and the 1 power play. He now leads Colorado defensemen in history with 24 points. Valeri Nichushkin also with 2 goals. He's about to get paid. He has 5 goals in the last 4 games. His agent said that he would entertain a competitive Avs offer, but I mean, this guy's looking probably for $6-7 million, which is probably outside of Colorado's price range. And Mikko Rantanen with 3 assists. Josh Manson and Makar with identical blocker side goals, where it was the exact same goal for both these guys as they're streaking down the right side wing, 2-on-1, and they just fire it right underneath the blocker on Vasi. Kemper, 16 saves in the shutout. So this is what I was going to talk about, speed. That was the big thing. And it reminded me of the Rangers game 1 versus Tampa, where the Rangers clearly looked like the faster the entire way. It's just Colorado is continuing that speed on them for 6 straight periods, where the Rangers just kind of gave that up. And that's the big thing where Colorado looks so fast. And, in the series, the Avs are keeping their foot on the pedal. They took off a little bit in that game 2 game 1 period 2. But here's my question to you guys. And Cooper at the end of the game, I guess said that it wasn't any thought. But would you have pulled Vasi in the third after they were down 6-0?
I probably would have started the third period with a different goalie, and not to discredit Vasi, but I mean, one, I think when you pull a goalie in a situation like that where he doesn't start the third period, you're not pulling him 5 minutes into the first period or something like that, where you're yanking him because he's playing awful. You're pulling him at the end of the second period, and you're sending a message to your team saying, do better for your goaltender. And on top of that, you give Vasilevsky a little bit of rest, albeit it's 1 period, so I don't know how much it would do for him. But I would have. I'm not a coach, but
for a guy that just played
his
100th game too.
Yeah, I would have benched him in the third period, and hopefully send a message to the team or whatever. But I'm not going to question John Cooper. I know he knows what he's doing. He knows all of his players, so maybe it's better Vasi stays in there. Maybe he knows Vasi better than he obviously knows him better than us, but maybe that's the best strategy for him and potentially the rest of the team because the rest of the team already knows what they got themselves into, and it was disastrous for them. And I don't expect
Yeah.
to see anything like that again going through this series. But it just kind of goes to show you, like, Colorado can put their foot on the gas and they just never let up. Especially when you
So
give them that chance to shove it down your throat, they're going to do it.
yeah. So Shorts guy, for a goalie that gives up a lot of goals normally, what's your kind of psyche going into the next? What's your psyche going into the next game after a drubbing? Uh,
I don't know, Dean, because it's
Well,
not me to let up a lot of goals like that. Um, so
uh,
I am willing to bet. I
we
am
got our
willing to
first
bet
reaction.
that I saw that. First off, at least I don't score own goals. First off, second off, um, as a competitor like Vasi is, it wouldn't shock me if John Cooper said, "Hey, do you want to sit?" And he said, "Absolutely not." He wanted to see it out. So that
yeah.
wouldn't shock me. It may not have been Cooper's decision. It may have been Vasi said, I'm finishing this game. Now, after a drubbing, which I have had drubbings before, uh, you want nothing more, especially in a series like this where you know you're going to see the team again, and you know you're going home. You want nothing more to be back in that net and to prove that that game was a fluke and to come back strong. So it's unless you are unable to handle that mentally, it should be a motivator for the next game to be like, oh yeah, I gave up 7. Boom, watch this. And it really wouldn't shock me if Vasi came back and pitched a shutout tonight. I
Yeah.
wouldn't be shocked one bit that Vasi comes back because that's the type of competitor and that's the type of laser focused goaltender he is, where he can come from a 7-0 drubbing like that and pitch a shutout tonight and potentially pitch a shutout in the next game too. It's just the way he is, and it wouldn't shock me. And if it's not a shutout, one goal, it won't be 7. It's if he for some reason gets mentally rattled, okay, maybe you might see some goals go in, but to me, he's too much of a competitor to be mentally rattled like that. And I also think that the team itself, and I know you guys have been in this position before as well, as being uh, defensemen and stuff like that, where if you know that you've played poorly in front of your goalie and you've contributed to that 7-0 loss, you're going to want to play better for that goaltender in the next game, especially in a game 3 at home like this.
Hmm.
So I think from the overall team effort from Tampa should be better tonight. I mean, they are 2-time champions in a row, and they're playing for a third. So it's not like they haven't been, uh, you know, this whole series, and especially having to come back. I mean, not from a 7-0 loss like that, but having to make a statement or have a statement game is not, is nothing new for them. So I
Yeah. I mean,
I think as competitors, especially Vasilevsky as a competitor the way he is, it'll the 7-0 game will be a motivator. Like, oh yeah, well, f you, look what I can do now, because he is better than what he showed. Even I didn't really see the game because I was at the Red Bull match. Um, I do know that it's just 7 past Vasi is just absurd.
yeah. I was going to say that they need so the Rangers in the series against Tampa, after 4 loss, they needed Igor to put up an all-world game because you could
Yeah.
feel the momentum changing, and then they obviously lose Game 3, and that's history. But they need Vasi to pull that kind of thing tonight, out of his hat. They need that shutout, that one goal, allowed while they get the offense that they need. And same thing with the defenseman. I thought
Wow.
McDonough had his worst game that I've seen in quite a while. Why'd you say wow? I missed
I don't know if it was a save or somebody the defenseman
deflected.
either Vasi made a ridiculous save, the defenseman saved it, or somebody blew it, or all of the above.
We're about to
Let's have a look.
see right here.
And I cannot see it, of course.
Oh, it was a
It
save.
looked like
Wow.
Paul. Oh, it was a
No,
save.
that
Holy
was
crap.
Vasi.
Oh,
Yeah. Wow.
There it is.
boom.
Kick and then Comfer.
Okay, so
Comfer kind of shot
right
it back into
there,
his, but yeah, that's a good save.
yeah, but regardless, right there, Vasi's on his game right there, and And
it's a big boost.
even if the puck was shot into his pad like that, doesn't matter. It's a confidence builder.
Yeah, it's a boost for your team. But I was going to say the McDonough and Hedman, McDonough especially, did not have a very good game too, and you could see that he was turning the puck over, and that's the worst game I've seen him play, I think, ever probably. But they need that defense to be a big part of this series, um, especially because I think overall Tampa's defense is probably better than Colorado's, maybe a smidge, but
Defensively, I think.
yes, yeah, defensively,
Without a
yeah.
doubt, I
But
think
Steve,
defensively, yes.
any thoughts on game two and what leading up to this game, which is 0-0, about 5 minutes in, Tampa with 3 scoring chances already, which is, um, as much as they had, I think, in
Probably
game two.
probably more than
Um,
the entire last game.
yeah. But last thoughts on game two?
Yeah, well, I mean, put it in the back of your heads. Take it as
Mm-hmm.
take it, for what it. Oh, there's another one. And they
Oh,
scored.
Colorado.
So
Oh, they're
now
getting a
that they
shutout
score
again.
here, but
Darnish
that's what
Houston.
I'm saying. So yeah, I know he scores again, but as far as Tampa goes, you lost game two. It doesn't matter what the heck the score was. It's you either win or you lose,
Well,
regardless of
well,
the
so actually,
score.
I do have
It
something
doesn't
for
make a
you on that.
difference.
Do you think it's a better loss if it's like game one, a 4-3 overtime, or an absolute shit show, 7-0,
I think,
like one of the
I
worst in
mean,
history?
it's a slap in the
What's
face. So
worse?
it's like I think if you get beat that bad, you basically have this realization of who you're playing and that you can't get away with the mistakes that you're making. You just can't. I mean, Vassie's able to bail you out, and I mean, in all honesty here, Vassie's going to have to win this series.
Yeah.
There's no other
Oh,
way
he's gonna
around
earn
it.
a consequence.
The defense needs to be near perfection, but even so, Vassie has to steal these games for them, and the Tampa's got to they have to start scoring goals. I mean, one of the more worrying things besides letting in 7 was they didn't score any against Darcy Kemper.
Uh-oh,
I'm not
challenge.
sure what's happening now. Are they reviewing?
Ooh.
Was it off the face-off?
All right,
I,
one.
I have to move
Yeah, it was off
something.
face-off. Maybe he moved his hand. All right, one last thing. So
Is
we're gonna talk
he?
about consummate favorites.
That is not a goal. That is not a goal.
It wasn't off the face-off.
That's offsides. No, that's not a goal.
Schwib.
All right, there's still time for a shutout. That is offsides.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
offsides. Barely, but
Yep.
yeah, it's offsides. Boom. I can see the TV
Yeah.
now. Perfect. So yeah, so
Um,
this is one of those and this right here is one of those plays that can save this game for Tampa. So now they're back to 0-0. This could potentially, if it's overturned, which it should be, at least I would think.
Mm-hmm. It
Uh,
looks like it's going to be. I
this is
should say.
if this is overturned, yeah, this could definitely push Tampa to score the next one and subsequent goals and win this game.
Well,
That's
they
what I
know,
think.
and at some point you have to be like these guys, and I
Fraction.
keep bringing it up. I keep bringing up the endurance in all this, and how Tampa uh, had the benefit of playing so much hockey, but at the same time winning during 2
Detriment.
consecutive shorter seasons. So it's not
Yeah.
like the Penguins when they won back to back, it wasn't as many games as they played per se because the seasons were shortened. But at this
Hmm.
point, still you're at the point of your third Cup final, and at some point there's going to be your team's going to slow down a little bit. Now, I don't know how much that is playing into the Colorado, and we all knew the powerhouse the Colorado was, and even breaking it down, it's hard to think of a team that's going to beat them. But if I could pick a team out of the East that potentially could, it was Tampa, and the way that they were, the way that they were defending, the way they defended Florida, the way they defended against the Rangers. But I don't know. I look at Colorado, and I look at as I think of the games that when Pittsburgh, because obviously when your team is eliminated first round, you're like, well,
Mm,
could they have? It's close, but it looks offsides.
it's close.
You always think
I could
about
also
like,
see
okay,
them up.
so
I could see this goal standing too.
yeah, it could be either.
I don't know. No,
No,
I don't. And
not with
that's
Yeah.
that
moved a little
camera
bit.
angle. Yeah. Okay.
But I think Colorado has figured out the methodology of taking it to Tampa. It's just you have to go at them full speed
Mm-hmm.
at all times,
Yeah.
and you can't let up.
Yeah.
And that's what they're doing. I'm not sure why it's taking so long. It looked
Maybe
it's pretty
time
clear
now.
cut.
They're
Right.
going to the time now.
The longer this, yeah, it's possible. But the longer this goes, the more you put in doubt that this is going to be overturned.
Yeah.
But if
And
but you want them to,
Schwimm's body language says it all.
I
That
wish we
is a
could zoom in on
broken
Schwinn.
Tampa fan right there.
I wish we could
Um,
zoom in.
yeah, that'd be great.
Borderline. That's borderline Bill Dean during Game 4, Penguins Rangers, right there.
No, I was mopier.
Almost.
I was definitely mopier. Um,
Bill Dean had a case of the fuckets during
no,
that game.
that wasn't Tampa Rangers. That was Pittsburgh Rangers.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
Penguins Rangers.
That's what he said.
Oh, I thought you said Tampa. Sorry.
No.
Here we go.
Yeah, I
Just
was just
call.
gonna say that. And is it a offsides?
Yep,
no
no
goal.
goal.
All right. So back to 0-0. But so here's my thing on Conn Smythe favorites. So
Yeah.
the leader of the pack right now is Kel McCarr, 24 points.
Yes.
Valerian Nishushkin's actually getting, especially because he just had a goal taken away. But I would think that him and Rantanen are probably, second and third for Conn Smythe for the Avalanche. It's amazing, actually. Nathan McKinnon's been kind of held in check. McKinnon himself, he's still creating tons of offense, but points-wise,
Mm-hmm.
I think he has 2 points in the series. On the other side, I would think that Kucherov, Palat are the favorites right now, Hedman and maybe Vasi. So my question is for Vasi. Say Vasi comes back and he wins it, and he wins the championship, and it's on his back. Can he win the Conn Smythe with a 7-goal Game 2?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I don't think there's only because there's nobody else on Tampa who is like far and away carrying this team. And yeah, Cooch is doing very well. Palat obviously doing very well with his game-winning goals. But if what did I say? Did I not say Palat?
No, yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So no, but yeah, if Tampa comes back and wins the series on the back of Vasilevsky. Jesus, couldn't even think of his name. Yes, he absolutely wins the Conn Smythe. And I think the Conn Smythe, if Tampa wins this series, the Conn Smythe will be decided only in this series. Because I don't think there's one true player who's kind of carried them. Although, you could be argued Vasilevsky getting them through that Florida series and then, even shutting the door for against the Rangers in the last 3 games. So,
yeah.
My bad.
All right. So let's get to, because we're going to wait for Schwim, which should be in, it's 14 minutes. Well, he'll probably be at the very end of the show. But the Bettman State of the NHL presser that they had. So they discussed the possible Nashville sale. Nashville was actually just sold, I believe. And I can't believe I didn't put this on. So Predators chairman and majority owner Herb Fritsch has agreed to sell most of his stake to Haslam, who is he was a minority owner, and now he's going to become the majority through a multi-phase transaction over the next few years. Bill Haslam. So Bill Haslam was also the former Tennessee governor. So
I'm gonna wait for Schwim to change AJ Dean's mind. Tampa, biggest fraud, 2-time champion.
Yeah, I'm going to get to. I have some hot takes.
Wait for Schwim to.
I'll get to that.
I'll wait for Schwim to join that.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm going to do. So obviously Nashville with the sale of the franchise, still no word. Although apparently the Arizona Coyotes now have possible deal in place for an arena. So it looks like maybe the Coyotes are there to stay for at least a few more years. And whether that's good or bad for the league, it is what it is. The Tempe City Council, votes to enter negotiations. So once again, Bettman clears himself of a possible headache. The all-time NHL revenues.
I'm genuinely curious. Like, what does it take for a team to get relocated if Arizona can't get relocated? It's puzzling to me.
I mean, the Devils should never have any chance of getting relocated after this. So,
I wouldn't think anybody
We're
would. This
Stanley Cup
is like
champions.
the league,
failure and
The league doesn't.
massive failure.
The league doesn't move Cup champions.
Cup champions 20 years ago.
Yeah. No, 2003. So
Right.
19 years ago. Hey,
19
at least we
years
won it
ago.
more recently than you have. We won it more
A
recently
lot
than
of
you
teams
have.
have won it more
And
recently. Uh,
yeah, and you had many more years to win more than 4, and we have 3.
possibly.
So I want to hear nothing
We were
out of you.
getting Montreal. That's kind of unfair.
All you had to do was beat 5 other teams to win a cup. 5.
Montreal had a feeder
5.
system of every single person in Canada. I mean,
5
come on.
5 other teams. You had to beat 5 other teams. 5.
The only reason
You
we
should
got
have won
Jean
more.
Rattel was because
You should have won
Montreal
more than 3 Stanley Cups being in a 6-team league.
all right, all-time NHL revenues, $5.2 billion.
And you know I'm
So
right.
very good job, ESPN.
You know I'm right.
I know you're right. The cap is going to be $82.5 million for next season, which is one more than 2021, 2022, and it has a $61 million floor. It's the first increase in 3 years. There are currently 2 teams over the $82.5 million for this season coming up: Vegas with $85 million and Tampa Bay with $84.5 million. There are 12 teams under, with Anaheim the least or the most under at $45 million. So they need to pick up $16 million in cap in free agency. The NHL is optimistic that the World Cup of Hockey will return in February of 2024. And that would include February of 2024. That would include the 7 major teams, which would be U.S., Canada, Russia, Sweden, Finland, Czech Republic, and Slovakia. I was going to save this for another time, but I do have a world team, a team world, or a Eurasia, or an ASIOP roster that I wanted to share with you guys, and we could do that another show. But that'd be cool for them to do a mixed team for that 8th spot. Anything you guys want to touch base on the World Cup or revenues or the Nashville sale? I got one more after that.
I'm just curious why they're doing it in February. Is it going to be like an Olympic break, sort of?
Yeah, Olympic break / All-Star break. Players wanted it that way.
Yeah, that's fine. Honestly, it's better than the like 3 weeks before the season starts or whatever the last one was.
Yeah. Guys
where
get
you can
hurt.
have a play. Well, I mean, you can get hurt in the.
Yeah,
you can obviously get hurt in February, but I would think it's probably less likely because you're in game shape at that point. So
yeah. I'm all for having a viable. I'm all for having a viable World Cup of hockey because watching the World Cup with soccer, it's phenomenal, and I would love to see more international play with hockey because it would just be a lot of fun. So I'm A-okay with that, and I just hope it's a really good, competitive, and legitimate tournament. Like I hope it's not just some fun for show tournament. Like I hope it's a legitimate tournament that the players want to go to. That they're not, that you don't have players that are like, yeah, I've decided not to go, and it's like.
I mean, you got the World Cup of Soccer.
15.
They want it on the same length.
And I would love that. I would love to see that. So hopefully the players take it seriously and they don't just decide to like, oh no, I'm not going to play, and they just would rather be on the beach for a week.
Because I would rather
come up.
Have like a world rather than relying on Olympics, right? To represent your country.
Yeah.
I think it should be that same level as soccer. Because I'm not going to diminish gold medals for Olympic soccer because that's an amazing achievement, but. You can save that for amateur, right? Amateur athletes, like it technically should be. I mean, we all love seeing our favorite players represent countries, and of course, thinking of a United States team that could potentially win the gold medal. But at the same time, Olympics are for amateur athletes, not for professionals, and I would like it better that way, especially if we can have a consistent World Cup. That'd be awesome. See it that way.
You can very much do it like soccer does, where the Olympics are more of a U23 type tournament, where you have a couple overage players that come in, but it's mostly those underage players, the junior players that are going to play for it.
Yeah.
Or potentially, your younger players like your Jack Hugheses who are under 23 but are playing professional. You could absolutely do that, and then the World Cup of Hockey would be the more senior tournament
Yeah.
uh, that there would be. So at that point, though, if with the Olympics, if you're not going, if it's just going to be like a U23 tournament, that means you are going to have players that are going to miss, large chunks of, the February schedule. If you're going to take some U23s from the NHL or maybe one or two overage players, so you may have a couple of
I
key players that are
imagine
going to be missing during that.
I
Because
imagine
I don't think they're going
there.
to shut down a league just for a U23 type tournament if they do it that
I do
way.
too.
Yeah.
So that's why I imagine there wouldn't be not on the NHL level
Mhm.
players being allowed to go for the Olympics. In that case, if that's the case, if we have this consistent World Cup of hockey, we're probably going to end up going, and we want to reach the U23 or whatever,
Mhm.
however you want to make the Olympic rosters. I imagine that there wouldn't be some kind of agreement to let these players go from their clubs, unless it's just a club decision. Maybe it would just is a club
Yeah,
decision whether or not they want to allow their players to go, which I think is probably a better idea. But um, yeah, I
yeah. I
imagine
mean,
if,
I
if it
still
does
think,
get to that point, it won't be NHL players. You could have some prospects, maybe guys playing in college,
Yep.
guys playing in
yeah, yeah,
juniors, guys
juniors.
playing in the minors, right, the AHL,
But you would have
probably
to,
players like that.
so then you would also have to work it out with the junior clubs too. If it's going to be a U23 tournament, we have junior players going and college players going. You're going to have to work out a whole network of permissions for these players to leave their teams, and you may get top prospects saying no to it because it's their draft year, and or they may want to go and shine in a tournament in a draft year. So I guess really it would kind of be like World Juniors, how the World Juniors go. So that's World Juniors is a U18, right? If I'm not mistaken, U18
Yeah.
for World Juniors.
Yeah, Colorado
So then you
scored.
make yeah, it looks like it, yeah, on a power play. So World Juniors is U18, Olympics
Just-
U23, and then the World Cup of Hockey would be a senior tournament. And if it becomes to it will never be the prominence of the World Cup of soccer, but if it comes to some
Wow.
prominence, then these guys will want to play.
Yeah, and wow, that was
Oh man,
I don't think they're
well,
calling goalie interference on that one.
No, they can't, right? That's
Like
not goal interference. You push into.
I guess you could
He's
try to
because
call it goalie interference.
he's in the stopping he's in the stopped position. Can you actually call that goal interference? It's not like he ran into
He's
him.
Yeah,
He
I
literally
guess. Well,
gets
it doesn't matter. I
obviously
already
you can't because
yeah,
they
it doesn't
just
matter.
restarted.
Yeah.
It's the puck was in the crease while he was in the crease, so I think he had just as much right to the puck as
Entitlement.
Vasilevsky does in
Yeah.
that instance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I don't remember what we were talking
I
about.
would
Yeah,
like
I hope they brought this World Cup. When was the first World Cup of hockey? 90 what? 95, something like that.
96, wasn't it?
Yeah.
96, I think.
96. Yeah,
96.
the first
Yeah.
one. With
That's
the
when the US
intention
won.
of it
Yeah.
becoming something, and it just keeps dying, and I don't understand why, because it's always such a great. That tournament was awesome. That's one of my favorite
Yeah, I
international
loved it.
tournaments I've ever
That was
watched.
during the lockout,
It's
right?
up there with
Wasn't that during the lockout?
I,
Might have been.
No,
I
no, it
think
wasn't during the
maybe.
lockout.
I don't
Because
know.
if it was during the
I don't
lockout, it
know
would
the
have been
answer to
in
that
the fall
question.
of '95. We can look it up. But anyway, sorry, Steve.
That U.S. Canada game was phenomenal, and the back and forth and Mike Richter playing out of his
Yeah.
mind,
Mike
and
Richter.
who was the other one that Tony Amani was awesome. He had great flow back
Yeah.
then too. It was so much
Yep.
fun, and it goes up there as far as being memorable. Of course, as rooting for the United States, that golden goal United States Canada Olympic gold medal game. It's I think it's up there
Yeah.
with that as far as like great international matchups. And but I don't know.
Yeah.
I hope, like, the last World Cup of hockey was fun, but of course horribly disappointing because of the team the United States put together.
Well, not
But
only
it was
that, but
fun,
I
and
mean, the U.S. had.
have
I was to say the
Like,
U.S. got stripped
so
of all their
correct.
young talent too.
Yeah, which I
So
think is
correct.
that's what I don't want to see. I don't want to see something like that again
No,
where there's a
no.
team North America or whatever the heck it was and a team Europe. Like, I don't know, figure something out and don't obviously, don't just add in another
Yeah.
country that's going to be the
All right,
whipping
screw it.
boy of the tournament. But
We'll do it. We'll do it. So here. So this is my Eurasia, ASIOP, Asia, or whatever team you want to do. Team World. It would be Dreisaitl, Timo Meyer, Matt Zuccarello,
I think you
Stutzla.
can make a German team. I think a German team by itself would be great. I don't think you need to
Yeah,
lump
but then
those
you're not
guys
going to
in.
get. But then you won't get guys like Timo
Germany's
Meyer,
Germany's a
Kopitar,
strong team.
Zuccarello. Yeah, but
Yeah,
I'm
I
saying I'm
know
trying
that
to
there's
get
some
All
all
other
the
these
other
guys. Yes,
superstars into it.
I
yeah, but all
understand that,
these
but there,
European
we can work
nations,
on some kind of qualifying.
Yeah.
exactly. All these European nations love international events like this. They love international tournaments. Playing
If you
for
can
your
do 16
national
teams,
team,
I'm in.
and
And
you
also,
can
but
have
at the same
qualifying.
time, could you make a case for how the World Cup works, how a player chooses the country that they play for? Could that be an option? So maybe you can get like an Anze Kopitar playing for the United States if he's a U.S.
You know,
citizen.
Jacob Chikrin cheating and
I
going to Canada, even though he's born in the U.S. Goddamn loser.
So any
I think
something along those lines. Like, could they do that? And then you can get some of those
you
guys.
could
Some of those guys could get on
yes.
teams because you have great superstar soccer players who never participate in a World Cup. Never,
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
because their
Yep.
countries just don't qualify. I mean, you see
Yep.
them in
And
qualifying matches, but they themselves are never there because their country is it's a weak country, but they are tremendous in league play. Whether it be in England or Germany
well,
or
so
wherever they end up playing.
here's an example. Gareth Bale, as much as I hate the guy, he's finally going to be in the
Yeah.
World Cup towards the end of his career.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And he's been a unfortunate world superstar. Uh,
Yeah.
you could easily do some qualification or registration or whatever as far as what you want to the country you want to play for. Like FIFA does, where you can make maybe you can make a one-time switch. But even in the Olympics, when you become a citizen of a country, you can represent that new nation. But it's got to be a one-time
Yeah.
switch. You can't have these like, oh, I'm going to play for the U.S. this tournament, and then 3 years later, 4 years later, whatever, you're playing for another country. It's got to be a one-time switch.
Yeah.
I mean, they were.
Hmm.
I remember there was
See,
something where, like with Thierry Henry, I guess there was like a slight bit of like through his maternal side or something like that to some small island nation, and they were trying to convince him to make a one-time switch to play for them. So I mean, you could have interesting things like that. If you just got to set the rules, and you have to get it all figured out prior to the tournament, and I think you can it could be something awesome.
Yeah.
see, I would just,
Just
But
you, you
I
have
you
to
would
can have
do
want.
it.
countries like Swiss can have Swiss always has a
Yeah.
team
A
in
strong
international
team,
play.
yeah.
Germany is much stronger now than they've ever been. So
Uh huh.
these
What?
countries you can easily have these countries in the tournament as well.
No, I agree, but I just think it would be if you're having 8 teams, right? I think it would be very cool to soup up a team and have something really competitive. And
Nah,
if you could
nah.
do
Nah,
well, no, because
I'm not into that either.
if you
No,
could do
no, no. I'm not into
Who are
that.
you
Dreisaitl
playing for? Who are you playing for though? Like you're not playing
team
for any country. You're
Yeah,
not like
yeah.
representing anything. You're just an all-star
You're
team
playing for
of the
yourself. You're
team
leftovers.
playing for
world.
yourself.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Canada's
No,
an
you're playing for
all-star
yourself.
team
No way.
anyway. So I mean, what do you?
Yeah, but
Yeah, but they're
it's
playing for
Yeah.
still
can't they're playing for their country. Like I would love to
and
see like I
it
would love to see
weakens
like a team
the
Mexico
tournament.
in the World Cup of hockey. Like I would love to see
It
like a
doesn't
team
weaken the tournament
Mexico.
because you still have very
Like
good teams.
No,
an
because
English
you're
team.
yes, but you're weakening the tournament because it's like okay, the World Cup. It's the World Cup of hockey. It's these countries are represented and playing a tournament against each other. Except one is just a smorgasbord of all the leftover aren't there. Like I'm not
Yeah,
into that
no.
at
See,
all.
No,
I don't want a doormat though. I don't want a doormat. I don't want a
Well,
Swiss
I
team
don't
to come in
think
and
it,
get blown
but
out.
it depends. So it depends on how
that's
much
why you have
Swiss isn't going to get
qualifying.
blown
That's why
out.
you
They
have
never do.
qualifying.
Swiss never gets blown out. Yeah, they're probably not going to win the tournament ever, but Swiss could, some kind of freak incident where they eliminate some team in the
Hmm.
first round of elimination, and the same with Germany. I think all of those teams that you just mentioned could be competitive easily. You
I'm
added
I'm just saying it.
the big countries with Swiss and with Germany, and they could hang. I'm not talking about like adding the 16th ranked country in the world and like Italy to it, or Great Britain, or they scored 1-1.
1-1. 1-1.
So I don't know. I'm not into this. I don't want to see another World
Oh,
Cup where there's like some kind of
Schwimm is
gimmick
way
team.
behind.
There,
Schwimm is way behind.
there's a
Yes.
good 2-second delay between what we see on our TVs and Schwim.
Yeah.
It's just Schwimm's feed. It's this.
Now review. Wow,
Um,
this
I
game
think
is.
you have.
There's still 7 minutes left in the first period, and it's almost 9 o'clock.
yeah, no.
Yeah, it's gonna be a late one. You know what? I would love to see. I if it's 8 teams right now, fine. But then you start increasing. You start
Yeah,
increasing the number of teams. Maybe you go from 8 to 12, and you start having some qualifying because
Oh,
these
that's
doormat
terrible.
teams may not be good now, but if there's a tournament that they can push for, and you can select maybe by birth, like maybe you're a Canadian guy that's the last cut for the Canadian team, but you have birthright to Great Britain or Scotland or something. You can go play for that
yeah.
team. I mean, look at the Women's World Cup.
Or
They
Swiss or
they
Germany, or
yeah.
you have a
I
grandparent
mean,
who's Norwegian, right? You can
uh,
go play for Norway or
yeah, you can go
something.
play for them. I mean, look at the Women's World Cup.
Eh,
There
that's
have been doormat teams in the Women's World Cup. However, going through a couple cycles, some of these doormat teams are starting to be legitimate sides,
Yeah.
and are starting to give very difficult games to the top teams. So
see.
you
And this is
need
how
these
you
doormat
grow. This is
teams.
how you grow countries' programs. Also, the programs
Exactly.
grow when these teams start to be recognized,
Have
and you
something
start
to
to
play
play in
Uh,
for.
things like this with some kind of
I
meaning.
agree,
Yeah,
but
and you don't just get like
I
one or two
agree
guys.
also. But if you see from your if you see Dreisaitl playing on for just anything in general, and you're German, you're like, I want to be Leon Dreisaitl. So I think that kind of just does it by itself. But here, just quickly, this could be your team: Dreisaitl, Kopitar, Hischier, and Rossi, Marco Rossi down the middle. Timo Meyer, Stutzla, Kevin Fiala on the wings. Your defense would be Roman Yossi, Moritz Seider, Chernak, and you could have Freddie Anderson and Merzlikins in goal. I think it's a pretty competitive team. I like it.
Yeah, I don't want. I'm
I
just
I
it's just
agree
like
it's
an
a
All
all
right.
star. It
competitive
doesn't
team, but it's
represent
just
anything. It's just like
who are they
yeah,
playing for? They're not
put those
playing
Team
for
Germans
Eurasia.
anything or
on the
anyone. They're
German
playing for
team.
themselves. Yeah, like
There's
let
only three
let the
Germans.
Swiss
The
have a
rest are not
team.
good.
No, the Germans have a
All right.
strong, strong team.
They have a strong,
All
yeah.
right.
I
Well,
mean, if you look, the Germans have been stronger in the last couple Olympics than I think you're giving them credit for.
all right. One last thing on Bettman's presser. He did say that the cup will not be allowed to travel to Russia after the finals is complete. That means there's players on both teams, 4 Russians total: Vasi, Kuch, and Sergachev on the Lightning side, and then Valery Nishishkin on the Colorado side.
Right, Leo.
Sorry, I
I'm
burped.
just here to see how Shrum is doing. We all are.
Yeah,
Right?
good.
We all are, Ray.
Yeah,
We all are.
not great, Ray. Um, all right, couple things. Coaching changes. Bruce Cassidy to Vegas. He wants to finish the job in Vegas. It's a good hire for them. I think Bruce Cassidy is a very good coach. It's still a little questionable why Boston got rid of him. If it was just needed a new face kind of thing, but he's a very good coach. So he goes back. He's in Vegas where he wants to get a cut for the Knights. John Tortorella in Philly. The owner called
Oh,
him the right fit
if
and
there's not a
expects.
perfect match for Philadelphia, there's not a
Yeah.
perfect match for Philadelphia.
Oh, the owner expects immediate success. This is after obviously Trotz said no to Philly. Barry Trotz saying no to Philly. They both got 4-year deals. So thoughts on both these hires?
Uh, I'm gonna
Uh,
say before we get started, if Sam in the background and you can find those clips that we played last night, that would be fantastic. Two, I think Tortorella in Philly is a perfect combination. I think it's just going to be so great. And I said this last night on Let's Go Devils. I think that some Philadelphia newspaper needs to pay what's his name from the Post per diem to come down and cover all of the Flyers home games. What the hell's that guy that Torts hates from the Post? I can't think of his name right now. Brooks?
Brooks. Ray
Yeah.
Brooks.
Yeah. Just bring him down to Philly and let him cover the Philly home games. It would be fantastic, and it's within driving distance. And then Cassidy has a good chance in Vegas, but I love Torts. I hate the Flyers, but I love Torts in Philly. And I said this last night. I think that they need to do some kind of social media or internet series of Torts and Gritty, and Torts just like punching Gritty in the face. It would be hysterical.
Yeah,
No, very much
I
agree.
agree. Yeah, I don't know. I don't.
It's gonna be awesome. He's gonna blow his gasket. His after game pressers are gonna be great. When he gets Carter Hart to have shitty games, he's gonna blow it on him. It's gonna be fantastic. All right. So those guys in Philly, the Knights actually then made a trade of Evgeny Dodonov to the Habs for the contract of Shea Weber. You obviously note that Weber has still not expressed his desire to retire, although his contract will be placed on LTIR. So here's my question for you guys. This would be hysterical. What if midway through the season Weber wants to come back because he's healthy? Then Vegas's cap is all of a sudden another extra $8 million.
Hey, 2-1.
Swim cam.
Swim Kim.
This is great knowing that he's behind us.
I know the delay is wonderful.
Yeah. You know what we should do for
I bet
game
he's got
4?
T-Mobile for his television too.
Probably.
For game 4, we should just stream a live view of Schwim for the entire game. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Just stream Schwim watching the game.
Yeah, good goal.
Ooh, nice goal. Very good goal.
Yeah. Before the season, AJ, I'm just going on. Sorry, Facebook Live, taking a look at everybody's questions and comments. Shroom gone from beer to hard liquor yet? Probably soon. Did anyone see what Torts said during his press conference? Flyers may suck, but at least the press conference will be amazing with Torts. I agree.
Oh, so all right, hold on. So speaking of Torts, back when back in the glorious 2012 Eastern Conference, Sam had press credentials, and he would get transcripts of the press conferences. So this was after, I think this is after Game 3 when the Devils beat the Rangers 3-2. Right, here you go. The Tortorella transcript is short as anything. I'm going to read through a couple questions and Tortorella's response. I'll only read 3 because that's all you need to hear. Question: can you just talk about the decision to sit Gabrick down? Coach Tortorella. No. Question: did you feel that this was the kind of effort that you would have needed to win this game? Coach Tortorella. No. Question number 3: are you disappointed? Are you disappointed in this showing after you had an effort in Washington? Coach Tortorella. I answered your first question. No.
Yeah, I remember that one. That's
almost
as good as what Gerard Gallant said to Emily Kaplan when she was like, "Can you discuss during the period?" Nonetheless, she's like, "Can you discuss the sitting of Capo Caco?"
No.
And he's like, "No." Like, great question. All right, a couple more quick things. Montreal Habs are expected to name their captain for next season with Weber being gone. I guess the candidates are Brendan Gallagher and Nick Suzuki. So we'll see what goes on there. The Rangers signed both Kravtsov and Sammy Blais to one-year deals. Schwim is Schwim's going to be upset. Tampa.
I don't know what he's yelling about.
Ooh, yeah,
that was weird.
Potential injury there.
Yeah, what happened
there?
He
fell awkwardly.
Weird little play. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that did he get pushed or
knee
tripped?
or an ankle. He just
They
kind
got
of twisted
pushed.
it
Yeah.
awkwardly, it looks like.
Eh. Um, you guys got anything else you want to chat about? I mean, Schwimmcam's on, but it doesn't look like he's going to join us before the show's over. So,
No.
No. I
um,
just want to see. You know what?
yeah, I mean,
I want to see. I want to see a good long series. I do not want to see Colorado
I,
sweep
you
Tampa.
know,
I want to see a good long
there's
series.
there's there's a chance. You take those two games. Yeah, granted, first two games, and same thing happened against the Rangers. They lost those two, whatever, and even the magnitude of the 7-0 loss. But Tampa takes both games at home. We got a series, and that 7-0 game becomes completely meaningless. Besides just another loss. So
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. This is almost. I would put this in probably the must win. Well,
oh
you can
yeah,
come back from a 3-0
has to,
deficit
it's a
in
must win.
theory, yes, but this is a must. It's a must
You have
win,
to win.
and
Tampa's got to win.
yeah, I think in fact maybe the next two are must wins. You can go down 3-1 and come
Oh,
back, but if they lose Logan
oh,
Paul
that's
or
tough.
Logan Paul, geez. Look what you did. Look
I
what you
just,
made me
I know,
do.
Seriously.
Nick Paul, if he goes down, that's a mate to
a big
Tampa right
loss.
there.
Yeah, that's a big loss.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so we'll see Nick Paul looks like went down with either a knee or ankle injury after a pretty innocent play. I didn't see a slash or anything, but just kind of
No,
No, it
falling
just looks
over.
like
you got pushed
shoved
over.
him in the back.
Yeah. 2 minutes, 20 seconds left in the game, or in the first period. Tampa's up 2-1. Goals from Andre Palat
Should
and
we hang?
Anthony
Should we hang
Cirelli.
for 2 minutes so we can get some words from Schwim?
Yeah, no, I'll
Is it
try
going
to
to
get a
be
little
2
bit.
minutes? The way this period goes.
I mean, we'll see. Especially if there's another review. Oh, here's a question for you.
Check this in.
Reviews.
All right.
Would you rather see a review? So, you know how coaches kind of stall? They have their hands up, like, "Hey, we might call something." The ref was over there for like 5 minutes. I think that it should be you have 10 seconds because they have video coaches upstairs that are watching every single play. They should have 10 seconds from the goal to call for a challenge or not. They should to sit there and stall for a minute and a half while your guy triple and quadruple checks. You have more than enough time to
I don't
to make a
think it.
call on
I
this.
haven't. I mean, there might be a couple times that I've seen where it's just like, all right, make a decision already. But I don't ever think it's to call it
Well,
when the
before
coaches are challenging it. I don't think it's ever been like obnoxiously long to the point where you're like, just like shit or get
there
off the
was
pot. But
there was one game where it was
like
like
that one, right there was
three
quick.
opportunities in a
Most of them
row.
are pretty quick. Like
No, no,
most of
no.
them are
But
pretty
Cooper
quick.
was over
They
there.
have,
No, I don't think.
well, they're also talking to the official, so it's there might be some gamesmanship to the conversation they had with the official before they officially review it. But I don't think this has been such like a common trend where you need to like revamp this whole thing now. Yeah, you want it to go smoother, right, and quicker. This whole process because it can potentially delay the game so much. And I honestly,
Well, delay the game
so that was
and delay
that
someone's
goal.
momentum.
So that goal was waved off, right? Which we all thought, even based on the first view. Like, I don't know what caused it to be prolonged for so long. And I think the only reason why we second guessed it was because it was taking so long. But really, you look at it one time and you know it's not. So I don't know what they were reviewing for as long as they were this for that goal, but it seemed pretty
I'm
straightforward.
not
But
saying
no,
the
I
review.
don't know.
I'm
I don't.
saying the actual challenge.
No, the actual decision as to whether or not to challenge it, I'm okay with how it is because I don't think it's been
Eh.
a problem, and I also don't think that because of the repercussions of challenging a call, I don't think you see challenges. You certainly don't see it as much as you used to before. You got that penalty.
Yeah.
Most teams, if it's a question mark, they don't even bother. So I don't think it. I don't think it messes the flow of the
Yeah.
game up much, honestly.
No. No, I'd keep it the way it is. Because you limit it to 10 seconds, and teams are making
Oh,
bad
Colorado's
decisions because they
buzzing.
have to. Because I say keep it the way it is. I think it's worth
Yeah,
working
and as
how it
long as
is.
the end result is correct, fine.
That's all matters. That's all matters.
Hmm.
I think if it starts to get into a gamesmanship where they're wasting 1, 2, 3, 4 minutes, which I doubt it will, but let's say hypothetically
No,
it does
I don't
get
think
to that point.
the refs don't allow that. Yeah.
No, but
Then we can
hypothetically, if
discuss
it gets to that point, then yeah, exactly. Then you discuss it. But I think right now, if with the way it's going, I got to give the NHL credit. I feel like that they've done very well on bringing in reviews and replays. I feel like they're the league that has gotten things like that correct, where
Is
other
that
leagues have not.
Burakovsky, by the way? Is he back?
except penalties. I don't know who is
Well, yeah,
who Burakovsky.
No, no,
penalties is a whole different
because
conversation.
before they were
All
talking
right,
about
Schwim,
Andre
here we go.
Burakovsky might not be playing. Um,
The floor is Schwims.
let's see here. Going to
The four
going with the
Schwims.
box score.
The floor is Schwims.
See if
we could
Andre
start a band called the Floor Schwims.
Burakovsky. No, Burakovsky is not playing. He's still injured. It's Nicholas Aube-Kubel.
Okay.
So Schwim, give us your thoughts.
Oh, yeah.
Schwim, first of all, Schwim, what's best is that you're on a you're on a delay.
You're on a delay.
So we see the
So
goal
earlier
first. No,
No.
you're way
Oh, okay.
late. So you're
Much late.
good. You're like five seconds or more late. Yeah,
No, man.
was very good because we could see the goal and then yell Schwim cam and then wait for your reaction, which was
Nice.
phenomenal.
Oh,
Yep.
man.
All right, so Schwim, I see that you're
I'm glad
obviously
we got two
happy,
goals out of
but
Not
let's talk Schwim quickly
overly
about
emotive.
Game 2. You're 7-0
Do we have
drubbing.
to?
Let's chat.
Is there even a
that.
point of talking about game? Let's talk about this game. What do you see in this game? Because there's
Yeah,
really
let's-
nothing to even discuss about game 2.
We could talk about game 2, but it'll be a short conversation.
Yeah, it was a disaster. That's it.
It was an absolute disaster. It was friggin' terrible. I was telling Cynthia before. I'm like, Cynthia, you could have been in goal for Colorado and gotten a shutout in that game, easily,
Yeah, they were bad.
Possible.
easily. It
Okay.
was so bad.
Go ahead, Schwim. Give me your take on period 1.
Better, obviously, because they have a lead. Finally, they haven't had a lead all series.
Calm down.
Again-
Calm down before you start. Take a breath.
Again,
they
calm
let 'em
down,
first-
beer.
and stop yelling into the microphone.
I
You
can't,
should
I can't help
shotgun a
it.
White Claw. You should shotgun a White Claw.
I think
Oh,
I actually have a White Claw here. Do we have a White Claw? We might have one White Claw here. I could do it.
All right, you got to
If
power
Tampa
it,
scores
you
the
know.
next goal, guy, I will.
All right, good. She's got a shotgun one.
I'll do.
All right, so quickly, Schwim, Palat with the goal, Sorelli, same
Beautiful.
thing. You have that goal called back on Valeri Nishushkin off the offsides, and then
Thank God.
obviously Landeskog with the tip in, well, not tip in front of, he really just kind of was in the crease and put it through
You just knocked
Vasi.
it in.
What's your thoughts on the series? Obviously, I'm sure you're very upset about the first 2 games, but what was your outlook
Yes.
going into this period?
My outlook was that they had to have a better start than they've had in the last 2 games. Their starts in game 1 and game 2 were not good. Especially game 2. They took a penalty, I think, like a minute in, and it was all downhill from there. This game, they had a better start. I think they were up like 4-0 in shots, right, to start the game, and had good pressure. They had a power play early that they didn't capitalize on. Of course, they took a penalty. I think they took a penalty during their power play, so they keep shooting themselves in the foot like that. But Colorado, of course, scored on it because their penalty kill has been atrocious, especially in this series.
And the Rangers, the Avalanche penalty kill has been very good this series.
Oh yeah, I think they're 20-something, 20 for the last 22 or something like that. So they've been very good, but yeah, Tampa played that's probably their best period that they played so far. Maybe the third period of game 1 they played pretty good, but much better. They got to keep it. I mean, it's still a long ways to go in this game, but they got to keep doing what they're doing, and they should be okay. I hope. But they're losing guys left and right now. Nick Paul went to the locker room. He could barely walk, so I don't know. And now Bogosian just got hurt. Who the hell knows? Because he's always hurt on and off. No Braden Point again tonight. So
I didn't realize that. He didn't play last night, game 2 either?
no, he played game
Wow.
1, game 2, and he was all of a sudden a game time decision tonight and no go. So He's definitely
Barkley-
not.
Matt
there.
Banky on Facebook Live saying Tampa getting out of the period without giving up 3 goals is a huge win for them.
He's not
Only
wrong.
one goal. Yeah. Maybe
He's
All right,
not
Shrimp.
wrong.
And
He's not wrong.
the question of the hour from one Mr. Andrew Dean. He says,
Oh,
Tampa
yeah.
is the biggest fraud, 2-time champion, changed my mind, bubble and COVID year.
Oh man, you're out of your damn mind. So if the Rangers won both those Stanley Cups, it would be totally different,
championship.
right?
Well, you
It'd
won
be
a single
insurance.
championship to have.
Proud,
You're out of your minds. You
leap in mind.
faux
Shrimp.
faux.
Shrimp.
I mean, you
Shrimp,
finally
Colorado
face a
fan.
good team and they smack you around.
Hey,
So you're
this is what I've
so
dealt with
shitting
since
on your Rangers
'95.
team.
This is
Yep.
what I've
Rangers
dealt with
team?
since '95. Since '95. Oh, you want to have a cup? Yeah, get out of here. It's a regular.
The Rangers,
did
the
win
Rangers
half
are
a
coming
cup.
up
Okay.
on 30 years since their last cup.
Yeah, I know.
So yeah,
Oh, you missed
another
see,
54
see,
years, or whatever it was.
Schwim, you missed that discussion we had earlier. I reminded Dean, even though we haven't won in 19 years, that Dean had a plethora of opportunities to win when there were only 5 teams that they had to beat.
I don't know.
I mean,
And
I,
they-
but
on
I,
Facebook.
Not
I actually
do it.
agree.
Steve-
No, actually, I agree with Dean and Matt Banky that it was literally Montreal winning every single
Montreal.
cup. So
Yeah. It was
No one else.
Montreal, it
Only
was a
had to
little
beat
bit of
5
Toronto
teams.
and a little bit of Detroit.
Still only
Yeah.
had 5
was-
teams
it was-
to beat.
It was basically
Still only
Canada's
had 5 teams to
trophy
beat.
for forever.
what does
Although
Montreal
Canada-
have? 20,
Oh, it
20
started
what?
in Canada.
20 something cups or something, right?
23.
Yeah.
Yeah, Canada. The U.S. owns the cup the last 30 years.
And how many?
92 was the
How
last
many
time.
since the original 6? How many cups has Montreal won since there was only 6 teams?
Ooh, that's a good year.
They won
Good
93.
question.
They won
93
one
and
is
86, right?
93.
Oh, is it 92?
And 86,
I thought it was
I
92.
believe.
Well, whatever.
No, it's 93,
60s,
'cause they beat the Kings in
1967. 1967 was the last
Now
year of
they
the
got
original
Charles Barkley
6.
commentating on the goals now. Oh boy.
Because Charles Barkley is the premier expert on
He's
NHL
got
hockey.
more personality than the other guys in the booth there.
It's true. I might actually.
Yeah.
I'd rather hear him than McDonough and Chicken Parm. I freaking having Charles Barkley and Shaq on would be, I think,
And
much better.
who's the bald jerk in the middle?
Yeah. All right, so 1967 is last year. So you had the
I
Canadians
guarantee
winning
he's
68,
lame.
69, 71, 73. So that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14, 15, 16.
Oh.
16 championships. Well, because you had in a row, you had
Oh, here come the excuses. Here come the excuses.
Montreal won 3. No, I'm just saying this is Canada's
Yeah.
Cup. So Montreal won the 3 from 77 to 79. Then they lose to the Islanders for the 4. But then you had Edmonton win 3. Canadians won 1. Edmonton won another 2. Calgary won. Edmonton won another 1. Then the Pittsburgh run with the 2 from 91 to 92. And then you had Montreal at 93, and that was the last one. So 16 times they've been Canada's at the Cup since 1967.
Not Canada. I said Montreal.
Well, Montreal is only 1, 2.
That was my question. Was how many after the original 6
Sorry.
did they win of those 23?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Okay.
Still pretty
So
good.
13 original.
Still pretty good.
Yeah, still pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. From 1920. So actually, Ottawa Senators technically won the first ever championship. Then it was the Rangers in 28, and then the original 6 when it started was Rangers, Blackhawks, Montreal Maroons. Oh, actually, hold on. So it started in 36. So it was Red Wings, Blackhawks, Bruins, Rangers, Bruins, and then a streak. Toronto, Montreal, Toronto, Montreal, Toronto, 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 Red Wings, Toronto, Detroit, Montreal. Yeah, so, and then Montreal won like 8 in a row. And then Toronto actually won a few, but
There are a lot of teams that are from the U.S. that are not the Rangers that are winning it in that time span.
yeah, but you're also talking. The Blackhawks won 1 in that time. Bruins won 2, and the Rangers won 2. So, but the Bruins and Blackhawks, you jerk.
Yeah, well, Rangers still had as good a chance as any with 5 teams to beat. That's all you had to do, beat 5 teams.
1, 2. Chicago only has 5. They've been in the league same amount of years.
Yeah, but I don't hate Chicago like I hate the Rangers. So
Yeah, but I hate
that
you.
argument's
So you and your
irrelevant.
stupid white hair. You and your stupid white hair. All right, let's wrap this up, Sam. You can hit it.
You guys. Yeah, let's get out of here. Let's enjoy period 2, hopefully.
Hopefully.
All right, so I'll do some
Hopefully.
quick trivia, and then we will. Oh, there's the music. All right, trivia was Shroom Sucks. Argus beer.
Trivia? That's
I'll
That's
give
trivia.
it. It's not. This one's actually not very like a 2. And the Rattler though, very good. I'll give that a 4.
Rattler.
I get mine 4.25.
I have
Adios.
not rated Wildwood Haze. 4.25. Wildwood Haze, love it.
All
Big
right.
surprise for what Schwimm's
Nightmare.
drinking. Big,
Schwimm,
big surprise.
take her
I
home.
think I'm pretty sure it's the same as last week also.
Rangers suck. Bye.